Welcome to this special edition of the Coach's Office. We have an in-depth look at the local district tournaments, a preview of the Daytona 500, all this and more.
And it starts now.
The following is a special presentation of the Coach's Office.
I never punt on Madden.
Go Noles.
I don't even know what roll tide means.
I mean, let them in. What is there to lose?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, all right. Glad to have you in here. Why was everyone so concerned with the outfield play for the movie to be called Angels in the Outfield?
Where'd you get your shirt? Foot Locker? Uh-oh, Murphy's calling.
And now your hosts, Kyle Donahue and Matt Ripley.
How's it? Welcome into the Coach's Office. This is Kyle Donahue, and it is basketball time in Tennessee. We've got a great show coming up for you today. We're talking all things area basketball. We've got Nathan Greatti joining us, the voice of the Science Hill Hilltoppers, Matt Daniels, the sports editor at the Morristown Citizen Tribune, and Tate Russell, the assistant sports editor at the Greenville Sun, all joining us today to talk hoops.
We got a lot of great guys joining us, and we appreciate their insight in this tournament. Also joining us today is Cody Early, as he'll be giving us his NASCAR in-depth look at the Daytona 500 coming up this weekend.
Fantastic. It's a great show. We hope you stick around for it. Kicking us off with basketball in the District 2 AA girls and boys is Tate Russell. Take it away, Tate.
This is Tate Russell with the Greenville Sun, doing a little postseason basketball breakdown for you. We'll concentrate on Districts 2 AA and District 1A with the local teams involved. We'll start with the District 2 AA girls bracket. That's a top-heavy bracket. Led by two teams, both have one losses in league play. Those one losses are to each other. That's South Green and Granger, both coming into the tournament at 11-1. South Green does get the number 1 seed, getting the number draw over Granger in the preseason. The Lady Rebels are led by a Miss Basketball finalist, led by Carson Newman's signee Braylon Weichel. Weichel's been a dominant player for the Lady Rebels since she stepped on the floor as a freshman, as a senior, playing off the ball a little bit more than maybe she has through her first 3 years, averaging 24.5 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, 3 steals, 2.5 assists, just filling up the stat sheet and really just dominating the competition this year. I mentioned she's Miss Basketball Finals, but really strong contender to potentially win that award. The next player to look at on South Green's roster is TK Franklin, and when TK is playing well offensively or scoring well offensively in the post, South Green's a really tough team to stop because you know what you're going to get from Weichel. If they can get someone else to step up and have a big offensive night, it's hard for teams to keep up with them. TK's averaging about 10.5 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, and always brings on the defensive end. Can guard the full length of the floor, which is rare in a post player, and a very strong rebounder, really strong in the paint. She's going to be tough, and later Rebels like that out of her. What I guess Coach Stephen Gregg wants is more consistency from his defense, and that's kind of what he's been preaching all year. He thinks his team can score points. It's slowing down the other team is going to determine how far they can advance in this postseason. A player who's a big part of that's Kylie Collins and Ashlyn Reeves, 2 guards that'll get in a lot of people's faces, that'll break up a lot of passes, but they've got to do it for 4 quarters in Greg's mind for the team to have success. Collins is averaging about 10 points a game on offense. Reeves is a senior. Just brings that senior leadership, brings that composure that I think Greg likes. He trusts her to be out on the floor in crunch time. And behind Weichel, I don't know if there's a lot of players in the rotation that you do trust that, just because not many players on this team have a ton of playing experience. Once you get past the 4 girls I've mentioned, you're looking at sophomores and freshmen that coming into this year had essentially no varsity playing experience. So that's always interesting in the postseason is seeing how girls who or players just in general who haven't seen that postseason pressure, the do or die, the win or go home pressure, how they handle it. But with Weichel out there, you're definitely going to trust her to handle that better than probably anybody in this district. Looking at Granger did win the last meeting between the 2 squads. They took that one 73-59 over the Lady Rebels at Granger. Tori Rutherford, who is a standout point guard for the Lady Grizzlies. She was a big part of that really strong defensive effort. As part of a committee that they put a lot of pressure on Weichel with. But Rutherford does kind of lead the defense for the Lady Grizzlies from up top. She's averaged about 4 steals a game, to go with 13 points she's scoring a game. As a sophomore, really athletic player, really fast player, really fun player to watch, and very similar to Weichel in those attributes. It's always real fun to watch those two go against each other. Lauren Longmire is another player to watch for the Lady Grizzlies. Really long sophomore wing. In that last matchup with South Green, she scored 24 points. And can kind of be of a mismatch for a lot of teams just because she is a long wing player that can shoot it, that can get to the rim. Very skilled offensively. Then lone senior in the lineup for the Lady Grizzlies is Isabel Stratton. She's another player averaging close to 10 points a game. And is just the veteran of the team, kind of keeps them together as that leader. Those two teams both have byes in the first round of the district tournament as those 1 and 2 seeds. Another team that could be interesting to watch, though, could be a little bit of a dark horse, is Greenville. They've come along as the season's gone on. Coach Annette Watts has been more pleased with their play. As of late, the last 2 times I've seen them play have been against AAA schools in Dobbs Bennett and Morristown East. The first time those matchups came along in the season, they were blowout losses for the Lady Devils, and frankly, in the second half, the Lady Devils just could not keep up with the bigger, more physical schools. Second time around, both of them again losses, but much closer. Dobbins Bennett had to count on some free throws in the last seconds to swing that game, and then Dobbins Bennett is probably one of the better AAA schools in the area. So some losses there, but the Lady Devils felt better about that, showing some progress. They're 7-4 in league play, 13-14 overall. But a senior-laden squad, which I think you'll like to see in the postseason. Leah Fillers is going to lead that squad from a scoring standpoint. She's one of 4 seniors in the starting lineup, one of 5 seniors on the roster, and has really kind of emerged since Sydney Lawler, who set Greenville's all-time leading scoring record last year, graduated. Fillers has stepped in and taken over that scoring responsibility for the Lady Devils, and her outside shooting is dangerous. She can hit from all over the floor. Probably as dangerous of a scorer in the league as anyone, maybe right behind Weichel from South Green. And then along with Fillers is Briley Jones. A little bit different type of player, probably a little quicker, a little more quick to go into the paint and try to slash their way to some baskets. Fillers more that outside shooter. But the combo of them had been very effective as of late for the Lady Devils. And I think Annette Watts really likes how both of those girls are playing heading into tournament time. Ashlyn White is going to carry the post load for the Lady Devils, and that's going to be a key thing to watch for them, and her play will play a big part in how far Greenville goes this postseason, because they don't have a lot of depth behind her. Suffered an ACL injury to one post player beginning of the year, had another one move around Christmas time, and so the depth in the post was kind of evaporated for the Lady Devils. A lot of times you'll see Elena Collins in there in the lane. Elena stands at about 5'5". She's as capable of a rebounder as anybody in this district, but she can be overmatched from a physical standpoint, just from a size standpoint to some players, and so she's more suited as a defender, as a scrappy player, but is kind of a glue player for the Lady Devils also, and I don't want to sell short what Collins brings, because she is one of the more fun players in this league to watch, just on the defensive end of the floor, because she will go 100% and she will take on all challengers, but White's the only one with real true post size on the team. Collins' offense has also picked up this year. She is a consistent threat from the outside, can hit a little mid-range jumper, and can kind of be a third or fourth scoring option when when teams want to focus on Jones and fillers. One thing that'll be interesting to watch is the Lady Devils do like to run the offense through freshman point guard Delaney DeBusk, and that's going to be a big task against teams like South Green and Granger, who have some really good defensive guards. How DeBusk as a freshman handles that pressure will also be a big part in determining if the Lady Devils can pull off an upset of a South Green or a Granger. I mean, you like that they can play a Morristown West or a Dobbins Bennett close here late in the year, but they have not turned those close games into wins yet. So can they do that in the postseason will be the big question for them. After that, the rest of the league is probably overmatched from a talent standpoint from that top three. You're looking at Claiborne as that 4 seed. They will play Cumberland Gap in the opening round. Claiborne does have some good players, some good size, but in Kelsey Muncie and Jaden Thompson. But overall, they probably don't have the depth or the scoring ability to keep up with the top end of this league. Cumberland Gap's kind of the same situation. You'll have West Green and Chucky Doak in a play-in game on Thursday, so they will kick off the tournament. West Green and Chucky Doak. And again, though they each have one win in league play this year. West Green and beat Chucky Doak. Chucky Doak beat West Green, and so they are 1-1 against each other. And otherwise, they are 1-11 in league play. But that's not to say they don't have some good players. For Chucky Doak, Sierra Janes and Rebecca Higgins are really fun guards to watch. Janes can shoot from all over the court. Higgins has been a transfer, come into Chucky Doak and has kind of led the offense, kind of taken over that point guard role, and keeps them moving. Katie Shelton for West Green is as good a guard as anybody in the league. She can do a lot of things. She'll defend all 5 positions just because the Lady Buffaloes don't have a lot of size, so they'll just put Shelton on whoever they feel like they need to stop the most. That leaves her getting into some foul trouble sometimes, but she can also she can hold her own against anybody on the defensive end and score from all over the court. If we look beyond the district bracket, coming out of the region, Sullivan Central is probably the favorites in District 1 AA, and South Green and Granger and Greenville have all already played Sullivan Central. South Green and Greenville saw them at the Ladies Classic here in Greenville. Sullivan Central took Greenville down on a last-second shot, but it's a close game. Greenville led most of the way. South Green really kind of blew them out. They didn't have much answer for anything South Green wanted to do. Now, the Lady Cougars do have some good players in Peyton Sams, a point guard, Abby Crawford, a 6'2" post player who's pretty skilled. Other than that, in District 1A, I wouldn't think that the top team for District 2 would have much trouble with them. Would look to see all top 3 seeds out of District 2 AA probably advance in the region tournament. And even beyond that, South Green and Granger do have good chances to make long postseason runs, possibly state tournament runs. You're looking at Northview Academy and Gatlinburg Pittman are probably the favorites out of Region 2. There would be potential sub-state matchups down the road. South Green and Granger would both probably be favored against either of those teams. Now, obviously, going on the road at that stage makes things much more difficult, so winning the region is important. But South Green and Granger are both very capable of making state tournament runs this year, just because the way the bracket breaks down to who they'll see in the region and beyond. Looking at the District 2 AA boys tournament, I think you're looking at a really fun tournament ahead, because I think you got several teams that could upset somebody. You've got 2 clear favorites in South Green and Greenville, but Granger, West Green, and Chucky Doak are all very capable of pulling the upset. You just saw Chucky Doak do it last week. They knocked off top seed South Green. So there's no reason to think they couldn't do it again. They got to get past West Green first. That'll be a very competitive first-round game. We'll start with the Rebels of South Green. They're 10-2 in league play, 16-12 overall. They are the 1 seed. They earned that by sweeping Greenville. Their losses come 1 to Granger and 1 to Chucky Doak, like I mentioned. The player to watch for them is Leonard Schultz. Really interesting player, an exchange student from Germany. Stands about 6'3", a big kid in addition to that strong kid. Can handle the ball on the outside, can shoot the ball from 3, which makes him a matchup nightmare. He can be a true post player. He can be a point forward, a stretched forward, whatever you want to call him. He can play a lot of roles for the Rebels, and he's dangerous. In their 2 meetings against Greenville, the reason they got the sweep a lot was because of the way Schultz played. The Devils just could not figure out a way to stop him. Landon Brown is really the only player returning from the Rebels with experience, and so it is a little bit of a surprise that they are in this position to be the top seed in the district tournament. With just Brown back, they've only got 2 seniors on the team. Brown's the only one that really played extended minutes last year of anybody in the rotation. But he's a point guard, real quick, real good shooter, real smart player, going to be a real tough defender. A little bit undersized, but he doesn't let that slow him down. And he is the guy that makes these Rebels go. He's going to run the show on both ends of the floor. Hosey really counts on him for a lot, and he brings a lot to the table. But the guard rotation around him, I think, is what really makes the Rebels special this year. Is they've just got so many guys that on any given night can have big nights. You got Levi Myers, you got Aiden Hawk, you got Ty Bailey, you got Noah Fillers. All those guys are guards that are capable of, having a 5-for-5 night from beyond the arc. Sometimes, 2 or 3 of them can have that type of night on the same night. And then you're talking about a really, really dangerous team. But these Rebels, that depth at the guard rotation and the balance. Schultz sometimes can take over that scoring load, but Coach Terry Hosey is most comfortable when that ball's getting spread around, and the Rebels can do that as well as anybody. They're very dangerous in that post. Chase Carter's a guy that's gonna start for them. He's a real strong guy. Probably don't have the height you'd like to see out of a true center, but physical, strong, and a smart player. And I think that's important. He's probably about the only guy on the roster that's not going to step out and just throw a shot up from 3-point range. But he's going to be strong in the paint. Sully Ray's the other post that they're really going to count on. And he is a guy that will step outside. He likes that corner 3, but he's also very capable of scoring inside. And that makes the Rebels dangerous. Greenville's going to be the 2 seed. They earned that by sweeping Granger. They were swept by the Rebels, and then they took care of business against everybody else. Very deep team, very balanced team. And I think that's what Coach Brad Woolsey likes about his team is their depth. They can bring guys off the bench and not miss a beat. And in the postseason, that's going to matter a lot. You never know when an injury is going to pop up. You never know when somebody's going to get in foul trouble. You're playing back-to-back days. So you need guys that can be strong off the bench. One guy in recent weeks has been that is Reed Satterfield, guy that's gone for double digits in almost every game over the last few weeks. Just really tearing it up from behind the arc. And I think what makes him dangerous is he can't come off the bench and knock down 2, 3, 4 shots before the defense even realizes that, hey, we need to pay more attention to this guy. But he can shoot from all over the floor. And as a freshman, has been really impressive here as of late. Javon Gillespie is another guy that's come on as of late, and that has Coach Woolsey very happy because they need him to be playing at a high level for them to be able to not only get through this district tournament, but to advance through the region and maybe beyond. They have high expectations, and a lot of that rests on Javon Gillespie's shoulders. He was at a little bit of a slump in the middle of the year. He's kind of worked out of that, is getting to the rim very effectively, and that's kind of opened up things for him on the outside when he can force you to come out and guard him on the perimeter. Then he can get by you real quick. If you give him that first step so he doesn't get by you, then he's going to knock down the shot from the outside. And he's a guy that the Devils will need to score a lot if they're going to be able to make a deep postseason run. Bryce Buchanan's the guy that kind of runs the offense. He's the point guard. He's the leader, senior. He's a guy that's not going to mess up on defense, and that's kind of the biggest thing with him out there. But he's also going to move the ball really well on offense. He sees the court really well. He can score when he has to, but he defers as his first choice, I think, more often. It's not that he can't score. I think that he wants to set things up for other guys, and he's one of the best at it. And then in the post, Tyler Marsh has taken some big strides this year, and that's really helped the Devils. He's gotten a lot stronger. He's gotten a lot faster. He's gotten a lot more skilled. He's a guy that can make a lot of plays in the post, and he is a dangerous matchup for a lot of teams. But as I mentioned, the depth, we're not talking about guys like Jordan Gillespie, who's going to be a lockdown defender, Austin Loveland or Micah Banks, who are going to be complements to Marsh, a Keelan Newton, a Connor DeBusk, guys that can score and score efficiently off the bench. That's what makes this Greenville team dangerous. And there's always the old cliche of it's hard to beat a good team 3 times. And then that's the question is can South Green beat Greenville 3 times to win this district tournament? That is looking ahead a little bit because both these teams can be upset before that point. But going in the 1 and 2 seeds, they get the buys in the first round. They're going to the region tournament. That's secured. But that is the thing that everybody's looking at is in that potential championship matchup. Can South Green get them 3 times? They've got them twice. Can they do it in crunch time in the postseason? That 3 seed is Granger. They're a team that they beat South Green once, and so you have to feel pretty good about that. Granger is a team that is deep. They've or balanced anyway. I don't know if they're going to go 10, 11 off the bench, but they're very balanced. They like Luke Jones in the post. He's a 6'5" guy. That just because of his size, he can create some problems for some teams. If you go with a smaller lineup, he's a guy they're going to try to get the ball to and take advantage of that. They got several guys on the team that can shoot well from the outside. Brody Grubb probably leads that attack. He's a guy that he will throw a bunch up from behind the arc, and he will hit a bunch from behind the arc. Jeb Hurst is a bigger wing player. He likes to get in the paint, likes to drive to the rim, and is good at it. And he will be a player to watch out for the Grizzlies. Chucky Doak is the 4 seed. But just because of that, they can't win this tournament. They certainly can. They've got the talent. They've got the players to do it. They've just got to get them all to play at a high level at the same time, and that's kind of been the challenge for the Knights this year. They are coming off a win on Friday against number 1 seed South Green. That's a game where they started the fourth quarter down 14 points. Jordan Morlock decided that he was just going to stop missing shots. Got put in 16 points. Everything he threw up seems to land at the bottom of the net. He had a great fourth quarter, and Chucky Doak came out with a win. If you get a couple more performances like that from Morlock and Chucky Doak can do some real dangerous things like in the postseason. Alex Maupin is another very capable guard who can also have a night like that. He can put up big numbers on offense. They use him more as a distributor a lot of times, count on him more as a defensive stopper. But Maupin's a very capable player as well. And in the post, you got Ethan Palazzo, who he can go for a double-double any night also. He's a big kid. He's a strong kid. He's really taking a step as a senior. I mentioned that Tyler Marsh from Greenville, but Ethan Palazzo is also taking a big step as a senior and doing some good things. The question for the Knights is do they have a post player that can fill in for him if he gets in foul trouble? Because there is a noticeable drop off if Palazzo goes off the floor, and that's something the Knights have to be worried about in the postseason. He can't get in foul trouble, and they expect to win or keep winning. They do need good contributions from their other guys like Nick Jennings, guys like Jameson Cobble, guys like Caden Phillips. They've all had good games this year. They've all been good for stretches. They're solid players, but those guys probably need to step their game up, get to another level for this team to be able to make a deep run. Looking at the matchup in round one for Chucky Doak. You're going to have a matchup with West Green. That should be exciting. County rivalry right there in the first round. The winner gets to go to the region tournament. The loser's season's over. So you always like that type of matchup in the first round of the tournament. It makes it exciting for fans. Probably a little bit less exciting for the parents in the stands when everything's on the line there for those kids in a big game like that. But West Green's also a very capable team. They've knocked off Granger once. They've played Chucky Doak pretty close last time they played. It was a 5-point game. They had some chances to win the game. They didn't. But Coach Deal at West Green feels like his team is better now. Feels like his team has taken a couple steps in recent weeks, and he thinks his team is absolutely capable of winning this game and advancing in this tournament. The Buffaloes offense starts with Kyler Clowers, wing player, senior leader, guy that has been tough for everybody in this league to stop or even slow down. He's a consistent shooter from the outside, but a very, very good player with the ball in his hands. He can get to the rim easily against most opponents. Lucas Bennett's the other player to watch for the Buffaloes, a really strong player in the post. He's just bigger and stronger than most guys that are going to go against him. And in recent weeks, the Buffaloes have started taking advantage of that. Other guys to look for, Grayson Potter, Ty Sossman, two really good shooters. Alan Vaughn, a guy come off the bench that's going to score points. He comes off the bench to put points on the board for the Buffaloes. And so that's always interesting to see how and when Deal will go to Vaughn and bring him in the game. Jacob Stimmel, point guard, has been pretty tough on the defensive end. Pretty good facilitator as just a youngster for the Buffaloes. So they've got some dangerous players. They can absolutely go out there and maybe pull what you call a slight upset in that first round against Chucky Doak, and then maybe beat some other guys beyond that. I mean, they've played other teams in this league tough. They beat Granger, like I said. They played South Green tough. So I think you've got 5 teams right there that are capable of possibly winning this thing if they get the right breaks. Beyond that, you're gonna have Cumberland Gap and Claiborne playing the playing game, and I really wouldn't expect much out of either of those teams. Claiborne is a team that's got 4, 5, 6 guys that can be consistent outside threats, and so maybe they all get hot at the right time. Other than that, I don't see much coming out of the play-in game, the 6-7 matchup against Claiborne and Cumberland Gap, which is happening on Thursday.
And that was Tate Russell, assistant editor over at the Greenville Sun in the sports section. A lot of great information there, very detailed, and we appreciate his insight in the District 2 AA girls and boys. It sounds like, Kyle, South Green over on the boys' side and Greenville High, and then South Green on the girls' side with Granger. Sounds like those seem to be the 2 top teams on each side.
Yeah, definitely. I think the girls' side, don't count out Greenville. I think it's kind of top-heavy on that side. I think the boys' side is a little more wide open. Tournament time, anybody can come out of anywhere and make a run. You've got Greenville, Granger, South Green's number 1 in the boys. Chucky Doak is kind of right there at the 4 spot. You've got West Green, Cumberland Gap, and Claiborne, all right there on the cusp. But anything can happen.
Anybody can hit a hot hand.
Yeah, definitely. Coach Clausen does a good job at Cumberland Gap. I don't see them being an easy out. West Green's playing well as of late. So the top 4 teams are playing good on the boys' side. They just have to win the first game. When you win the first game in their district, you move on to the regional tournament, and then they do seeding after that. The girls' side, I think it's going to be the top 3 looking to move on.
And Granger beating South Green, to me, I thought, maybe not necessarily in an upset, but that's a big win for them going into the tournament.
I'm pretty sure it was at South Green too. Yeah. It was definitely a big win at the time. South Green, I think, is rolling pretty well. They've got a Miss Basketball finalist in Braylon Weichel. She's looking to bring home the hardware in that and lead her team to state. I think they're in a good spot. The district is really set up favorably for them.
A lot of good basketball talk coming your way right after this. Don't go anywhere. The coach's office is now looking for a title sponsor. Your name would be over the whole entire show or commercial sponsors. If you or someone you know owns a business and would be interested, please contact us either on Facebook, on Twitter, or through our email, thecoachesofficeshow@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you be a part of the Coach's Office.
Welcome back into this special episode of the Coach's Office. We're talking Tennessee hoops, East Tennessee hoops. Joining us now to talk District 1 AAA boys and girls, starting with the girls, is the voice of the Science Hill Hilltoppers, Nathan Greatti.
Hey guys, my name is Nathan Greatti. I'm the voice of the Science Hill Hilltoppers. I do basketball, both girls and guys basketball, football, and baseball for Science Hill, my alma mater. And so I'm here to preview the 2019 District 1 AAA girls and guys tournaments here in East Tennessee. We're going to get right into it. Start with the girls. It's a two-horse race in my opinion. The sleeper could be Daniel Boone because the semifinals and finals are at Daniel Boone this year. But Tennessee High and Volunteers starting that 6 and 7 matchup. Both teams 7 and 21 overall. It's really just a pick 'em to see who plays Daniel Boone on Wednesday night. And David Crockett and Cherokee. That'll be a Cherokee win in my opinion in the 4-5 matchup on Wednesday. And Cherokee will then advance to play Dobbins-Bennett on Friday, who is the number 1 seed. Science Hill coming in the 2 seed, losing the coin toss. They beat Dobbins-Bennett once. Dobbins-Bennett beat them once, so they had to do a coin flip, and Science Hill got the 2 seed. So they will have a tougher, in my opinion, semifinal matchup. As Daniel Boone is going to beat either Volunteer or Tennessee High, and Cherokee will beat Crockett in the 4-5 matchup. Friday the 15th at Bobby Snyder Gymnasium, Daniel Boone High School. It's going to be Cherokee, in my opinion. Cherokee versus Dobbins-Bennett at the 6 o'clock game in one semifinal. The other semifinal will be Daniel Boone and Science Hill. And I think Dobbins-Bennett will roll over Cherokee. And then the issue might come where Science Hill may be looking past Daniel Boone. And Daniel Boone's still a tough team at 19-9 overall. And Science Hill only beat Daniel Boone at Daniel Boone a couple of weeks ago, 64-59. So they didn't close out the game until the final couple of minutes in that one. And so Science Hill better come ready to play on Friday night at Daniel Boone, because if they don't, I think Daniel Boone's girls could possibly pull an upset. I still am picking Science Hill to win that game. I just think they have more talent. So if they defend like they should, they cause it some turnovers with that full court 2-2-1 full court press. I think they will be able to do that, and they'll drop back into their 1-3-1 zone, which really gives teams some issues the last month and a half or so of the season. Monday night, the consolation game will be Cherokee and Daniel Boone, which I think will be won by Daniel Boone. And then the championship game between Science Hill and Dobbins-Bennett will be round 3, and that one is going to be a dandy. Those two teams battled to a 37-30 Science Hill victory in Johnson City a few weeks ago. Before that, Dobbins-Bennett beat Science Hill. It's really going to come down to who's going to help Courtney Whitson for Dobbins-Bennett. All-time leading scorer, girls or guys, for Dobbins-Bennett. So who is going to step up for Dobbins-Bennett? Who else other than Courtney Whitson? Because Alasia Smith's going to get hers for Science Hill. Edgar Brick can shoot. Jayla Greenlee can shoot. So Science Hill has some weapons. But what's happened to Dobbins-Bennett, even though they're still 25-5, they have struggled for, quote, the others to kind of score and step up. And so I think Science Hill can come out with another victory over Dobbins-Bennett, but that game's going to be a toss-up, and it is going to be a dandy to watch, and it's going to be even better to broadcast on Friday night. It should be Science Hill beating Daniel Boone, just to recap, in the semifinals, Dobbins-Bennett beating Cherokee in the semifinals, and then Monday's championship games at 7:30 at Bobby Snyder Gymnasium and Daniel Boone High School. And I think it'll be number 1 and number 2, Dobbins-Bennett and Science Hill, with a combined 8 losses on the season and 50 wins. And I think those two will do battle on Monday night at 7:30 to see who hosts the regional game in the following round. And I think both of those teams have a chance to do such things in the regional tournament. And I know Morristown West is good, and Jeff County is always good, and a lot of teams down there as well. But Dobbins-Bennett and Science Hill should meet in the district championship game on Monday night at Bobby Snyder Gymnasium. Let's go ahead and move to the boys. Really the same thing. I think it's a two-horse race for the boys, with Dobyns-Bennett kind of leading the way, pretty dominant all season long, 26-3. They did lose to Tennessee High once. Science Hill has lost to Dobyns-Bennett 3 times this season, once in the Arby's Classic, which local teams should never play against each other in the Arby's Classic, in my opinion. But we'll go ahead and get started. The 5th and 4th seed are Cherokee and Daniel Boone. And listen, Cherokee just about beat Science Hill on Friday night in Rogersville, and Science Hill had to take it to overtime with a miraculous kind of North Carolina State Jim Valvano running around catch by Drew Morrison and put back as time expired to send the game to overtime. And then the Hilltoppers just overwhelmed Cherokee. But Cherokee's there to fight, and Coach Ty Webb has a good bunch down there, and Ryan Bledsoe, one of the best scorers in the region. And it'll be Ryan Bledsoe and Hegler for Daniel Boone in that 5 and 4 matchup Thursday at 7 o'clock, and that game will be at Daniel Boone High School. I think Daniel Boone should pull that one out. They're just a little bit better than Cherokee is right now. Second game, Volunteers 6 and 23 at Tennessee High. That shouldn't even be close. Tennessee High has a tendency to play down to their competition at some points throughout the season. We know Volunteer has Coach Mike Poe. They're well coached. They just have to develop some talent, give Coach Poe a couple of years there, and I guarantee you Volunteer will be in the mix pretty much consistently in the Big 7 conference. So Tennessee High moves on there, and David Crockett and Science Hill will be Game 3 at 7 o'clock. That game, again, at Science Hill. All 3 of those games are at the higher seed. So Boone will host, Tennessee High will host, Science Hill will host. And I think Science Hill takes care of Crockett for the 3rd time this season. The 2 old coaching rivalries, and Coach Good and Coach Cutlip and David Crockett having a down year this year at just 7 and 19. Science Hill also having a down year at 14 and 15, looking to go even their record at 15 and 15. Saturday's semifinals are going to belong, and it's going to be Daniel Boone against David Crockett, and it's going to be Tennessee High against Science Hill at 7:30. And I think Dobyns-Bennett takes care of whoever they play, whether it's Daniel Boone or Cherokee. It doesn't really matter. Dobyns-Bennett rolls to a semifinal victory very easily. And the next matchup, Tennessee High and Science Hill, and as a preview, possibly, it could be Volunteer, Crockett, any one of the teams. But I'm predicting number 2 and number 3, Tennessee High and Science Hill. And Tennessee High and Science Hill have played a couple of dandies this year. Science Hill beat them by a point back in November in Johnson City, maybe December, but earlier on in the season, Science Hill was up by 17 against Tennessee High. They let them climb back into it. Science Hill was able to hold them off and get that victory. And then at Viking Hall, it was a 68-64 game. Tennessee High barely pulls away from the Hilltoppers. But I do think Tennessee High ends up beating Science Hill in the semifinals there. And it'll be Science Hill and Daniel Boone in the consolation game on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And the championship game will be Tennessee High versus Dobyns-Bennett. In the consolation game, Science Hill and Daniel Boone, I think Science Hill gets redemption for one of the worst games that I've really seen them play all season. A couple of weeks ago when they played Daniel Boone at Daniel Boone, they just couldn't hit a shot. I mean, it was just one of the worst games that I've seen Science Hill play in a few years. And I think they get redemption in that consolation game, and they pick up 3rd place in the district tournament. Daniel Boone finishes 4th. Championship game, Dobyns-Bennett and Tennessee High. I think Dobyns-Bennett just has the better team. Everybody talked about it. They took their lumps a couple of years ago when they had all these young guys, and Murray Foreman was just a freshman and a sophomore, and Charlie Browder was just coming of age as a freshman as well. And now they're seniored. They're veterans, and they're in it to win it. And I think Dobyns-Bennett takes the District 1 AAA championship over Tennessee High on Tuesday. I do think Dobyns-Bennett has a chance to go to the state tournament. They have that type of talent if they play up to the ability. Coach Poor is an excellent coach, one of the best we have. One of the best we have in the region. And he has his boys locked and ready to go here as Dobyns-Bennett has a chance. The only team in this in District 1 AAA, in my opinion, that has a chance to go very far on the boys' side. And I think they win the District 1 AAA championship, and I think they move on to regionals. They will host one of those games, if not 2. and they will play in the regional championship game with a chance to host a sub-state game and go to the state tournament as well. So it's Dobyns-Bennett's year. We'll see how far they can go, but I definitely think they get out of the District 1 AAA, and Tennessee High has a chance. They have a lot of talent, but they just have to play to their full potential. Science Hill could be a sleeper. If they can upset Tennessee High, they'll look for redemption against Dobyns-Bennett if they can make it that far. But I just think Dobyns-Bennett has too much talent, so they end up winning. I think Science Hill wins the girls' District 1 AAA tournament championship, and I think Dobyns-Bennett's boys will win the 1 AAA district tournament as well. That's my preview for the 2019 District 1 AAA girls and boys tournament.
And that was Nathan Greatti, voice of the Science Hill Hilltoppers, with that District 1 AAA preview. Kyle, it sounds like DB's got a team on both sides there, playing good basketball both ways.
Yeah, definitely. The DB girls, Science Hill girls, I think that'll be a great matchup if they both make it to the finals. DB boys, I think it's their year. It's their year to lose. I am super excited about DB versus Bearden.
Yeah.
If we get to a DB versus Bearden matchup, I think that'll be pretty good. Coach Poore has got them playing really well. Former Greenville product for them. Travel with the Harlem Globetrotters. Really exciting for him.
Done a great job at Dobyns-Bennett.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
In a short time.
Definitely.
I mean, he's done some good things. Now, Kyle, you've got to look at the District 1 AA.
All right, so District 1 AA girls. Johnson County versus Sullivan East are playing the play-in game to end up facing Unicoi. The winner of that will play number 2 Sullivan South. Happy Valley versus Betsy, a 4-5 matchup. It's a toss-up. The 4-5 is really tough to predict. It could go one way or the other. I think Happy Valley's got the inside track on that. Then you got Sullivan South, Sullivan Central, the 1-2 or the 2-1. Central is the 1 seed in the girls matchup. I think those will be a pretty good tournament to look at. I think Unicoi is playing pretty well as of late from what I've read in the paper. On the boys' side, we've got Unicoi coming in at number 7, and I'm not used to seeing Unicoi at number 7.
Crazy.
Back when I played for South Green, we didn't. Unicoi is number 1, and they've just had a tough year.
A lot of success on the football field. Hasn't really crossed over to the basketball field.
I guess not. So they're playing the Happy Valley for the playing game, and the winner of that will play Coach Dyer at Sullivan East. In the 4-5 matchup, South and Central will be playing in the Battle of Sullivans. And then as of airtime, Johnson County and Betsy are 1-2. I think Betsy will be number 2 going into the tournament. We couldn't really find any info on that, but I think Betsy will be number 2.
Johnson County
has the overall. I think they're at number 1. Johnson County, speaking of Mr. Basketball finalist Blake Atwood, son of head coach Atwood. They've won 19 straight games at one point to earn them a tie for the Three Rivers Conference. And I don't know the last time Johnson County had a Mr. Basketball finalist.
That's a big deal.
We ended up playing them last year when I was with Chucky Doak. We played them in the regional tournament there. We ended up Carter Mop and hit a game winner as we were running out of the gym. We were lucky to escape with our life. But it was a fun game, great atmosphere. I think the 1AA is very strong right now. It'll be definitely interesting to see that matchup. Plus, when they get to the regional tournament against the guys on this side,
that'll be some good basketball. We now transition over to Tate Russell. He's going to take a look at the District 1 Single A girls and boys.
Next, we'll move on to the District 1A girls tournament. That tournament's going to be held at Sullivan North. It's going to be a very interesting tournament just to see who comes out on top of it, because it is a very top-heavy league with North Green, Cloudland, and Unaka. They've all played each other tough, all played each other close, and not much separates those two teams. North Green gets the 1 seed with a 9-1 record in league play. They're 24-6 overall. They clinched that 1 seed by beating Unaka by 1 point. Earlier in the year, Unaka got them by 2 points. They played 2 close games with Cloudland, with Lady Huskies coming out on top of both of those. But 8-point game and a 4-point game. Any of those 3 teams can definitely come out as winners of this tournament, and I don't think anybody would be surprised at any of those 3 winning it. I don't know if there's a clear favorite. Probably North Green, just because they're on the opposite side of the bracket of Cloudland and Unaka, so the road is a little bit easier maybe. Lady Huskies are going to be led by sophomore point guard Breezy Savage. Coach James Buchanan really likes what he has in her as an athlete. Going to be one of the quickest players on the floor every time she steps on it. Really tough defender, and her offense has really picked up here over the second half of the season. She can shoot the ball well from the outside, and just because of her quickness, she can get to the rim. She's also the player in the starting lineup with the most experience in postseason play, and that's coming as a sophomore. She's joined by another sophomore, Haley Bernard, and then 2 freshmen in Emily Britton and Shelby Davenport, and an exchange student, Charlotte Roszkowski. None of them have really played any postseason minutes. Bernard was the only one on the roster last year in that starting lineup. Now, they do have some senior veterans coming off the bench in Anna Reed, Kirsten Hensley, Abigail Slater, and those all play key roles for the Lady Huskies. But it is coming off the bench. And then that is one thing that I think Buchanan really likes about this team is that he can go deep in his bench. They can play 10 players and not worry about it. They can maybe even go 11 and 12 some nights and not see a big drop-off. And that's going to be really important for them in the postseason. But because at times they do have to worry about foul trouble. You never know when an injury is going to hit. You're playing, a lot of games on back-to-back days if you're making a deep run. And so depth matters a lot, and they've got more depth than most single-A teams you will see. Roszkowski has come in and been a really pleasant surprise as a 6-foot-tall post player. Very skilled on the offensive end. Understands, angles to the basket. Understands post moves. Very effective scorer on the defensive end. What Buchanan has kind of harped on all year is she's got to keep those fouls under control. Keep her arms up, keep her feet set, and not hack at the ball, because that keeps her on the bench a lot in the first half as they're trying to preserve her for the fourth quarter. But if she can stay out of foul trouble, she can definitely be a nightmare for a lot of teams in this district tournament and beyond. As I mentioned, you got freshman guards in Emily Britton, Shelby Davenport. Very, very good outside shooters. And I think have been very pleasant surprises for Buchanan with just the level of contribution he's been able to get out of them as freshmen. Haley Bernard, that other post player in the starting lineup, is a very versatile player, can step out and shoot from the outside, can play with her back to the basket a little bit. It's going to be a very athletic post players, and it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to match up against just because she's good with the ball in her hands. She's good moving without the ball. Just a very dangerous player in the post, very athletic player in the post. And then I mentioned it's the bench for the Lady Huskies can make a big difference. Cloudland is that 2 seed. They're 21-6 on the year, 8-2 in league play. As I mentioned, North Green swept them this year. The Lady Highlanders swept Unaka, and with 2 big wins over the Lady Rangers, winning by 20 points and winning by 31 points. And so if you look at Unaka, played North Green tight twice, losing by 1, winning by 2, and then they just can't figure out the Lady Highlanders. It doesn't look like, losing by 20 and 31. The Lady Highlanders got some good perimeter play in Trinity Vines and Mandy Benfield, both dangerous scorers. Coach James Buchanan, last time I talked to him after their North Green's matchup with Cloudland, is they just could not figure out what to do against Vines. She just kind of went off, had a big night, 19 points against them the last time they met. And she can do that any night, any round of this tournament. She can have a big night. In the post, Stacia Wilson is a tough player for the Lady Highlanders. She's going to kind of control that paint. For Unaka, they're coming off a state tournament run last year, but they haven't been the same team they were a year ago. Still pretty balanced, still a good team, still a team that can definitely win this tournament. They're 7-3 in league play. They've shown they can take North Green to the limit if they see that matchup again. Again, that matchup would be in the championship round. Unaka is the 3 seed. They're going to hope to see Cloudland in the second round. They've got to get past Sullivan North first. But that is what the Lady Rangers of Unaka are looking at. Savannah Tipton, very good guard. Going to lead them in scoring most nights. Maya Pollier is the post player. Is going to lead the Lady Rangers. She's very long, very strong player in the post. Jada Whitehead is going to be a shooter for them. Part of that balanced attack. They like to spread the ball around to all those players and more. But Whitehead's when you're going to look at it as a 3-point threat. The bottom half of this bracket, I'm not going to expect a lot out of them. Hampton's coming in with a 4-6 record in league play. They've not got any wins over those top three teams, and for the most part, those three teams have handled them convincingly. University High's at 2-8. Saw them against North Green. They played North Green tough for about 2.5 quarters, and then the Lady Huskies stepped on the gas and ran away from them. Their only 2 wins was in league play are over Sullivan North. Sullivan North does not have any wins in league play. Sullivan North's going to be the 6th seed, University High the 5, and Hampton the 4. So you'll have Hampton matching up with University High, and Unaka matching up with Sullivan North in the opening round. Cloudland and North Green will get byes in the first round and those automatic trips to the region tournament. Next, we'll move on to the District 1A boys tournament. It's again a very top-heavy tournament with University High coming in as the 1 seed, Hampton as the 2, and North Green as the 3 seed. University High is 9-1 in league play. Hampton's 8-2, and North Green is 7-3. After that, you got Cloudland at 3-7, Unaka at 3-7, and Sullivan North has not won a game in league play. Looking at University High, they swept North Green on the season, have a 10-point win and a 7-point win. So the Huskies are playing them close. Maybe they can flip that margin if they see another matchup. That matchup would come in a potential championship game if the two teams did see each other again. Hampton and the Bucks did split this year. Hampton took a 2-point win in recent weeks. Earlier in the year, it was the junior Bucks that took a 9-point win. Thing to watch about University High is probably got one of the most fun players in the area on their team to watch. And Caleb Meredith, the guy can score from anywhere on the courts. If the ball's in his hands, he might be putting it in the hoop. You just never know where he's going to be able to score from, what he's going to be able to do with the ball. And on the defensive end, he's just as fun to watch. That guy can jump passing lanes. He knows where the ball's going, and a lot of times he's going to get there before the offense does, and that leads to some quick points on the other end for University High. And that's the thing about University High as a team, very quick on defense, very quick to create turnovers and turn those turnovers into points, and that's kind of what they live on is just frustrating you on defense and then turning those frustrations into points on the other end for themselves. Guard heavy lineup, but Meredith does have some good players around him. The next player to watch will be Marshall Fleener, a guy that's capable of knocking down shots, a guy that's capable of creating some transition opportunities for himself and his teammates, and just all around a very good team from University High. They are probably the favorites to take this tournament, although the other side of the bracket with Hampton and North Green, both those teams are very capable of knocking them off. Hampton comes in with a 21-9 record, and North Green's record is 21-8. Yours has 23-5. That's pretty rare for 1A basketball to have 3 20-win teams in the same district, just because if you're going out of conference a lot of times in single A, that means you're playing up, and frankly, you're not supposed to win when you play up. The bigger schools should be better than you. So when you got 3 teams that have 20 wins, I think that speaks for the quality of this league. You got 3 really good teams there at the top of this league. Hampton split with North Green on the year, split with University High, and that's how they end up at 8-2 in league play. North Green actually got them on a buzzer beater to beat them by 3. At North Green earlier in the year, the Bulldogs pulled out the win, so they actually both won on the road in those matchups. But 2 very close games, 2 very close games with University High. So Hampton is very capable of knocking off University High. They've done it once. They played them close another time. Very balanced team. Probably not the most high-scoring team you're going to see. this season. But Caleb Oakes and Jordan Bentley are two guys that will lead the offense. Both good scorers, both talented players. And two guys that is who Hampton is going to rely on. North Green, trying to get back to the state tournament, made it for the first time in over 20 years last year. They want to get back. They only really have two players that played big minutes in the state tournament from last year. That's point guard Turner Bailey and then wing Brandon Malone. And those are the two guys that lead the Huskies this year. Bailey's the guy that can be a dangerous shooter. That can make big plays. As I mentioned earlier, he hit a buzzer beater against Hampton to get them the win up there a couple weeks ago. That's the type of thing that he can bring to the table. He can be that clutch guy that makes big plays in the postseason. He's kind of emerged as that. Malone is a guy that I really like just because of his versatility. Just a long, athletic, strong kid. He can defend in the post. He can defend on the perimeter. He can handle the ball on the perimeter, but he can also put his back to the basket a little bit. I just like that you can plug him in to do a lot of different things. I think that really helps this North Green lineup in that he can be versatile, and depending on what you're looking at from the defense that you're going against, you can adjust what you do with Malone. Wild card for the North Green may be Kendall Loftus, who's coming back from a broken arm. Missed almost the entire regular season. Hurt that during the Thanksgiving tournament. Played out West Green. Broke the arm, but he's been back now for a short time. He'll be back for tournament play. And athletically, he's as good as anybody in the district. He can get to the rim. He's a long athletic kid that can run the floor. Can do a lot of things. The thing you always have the question though is when guys miss that much time is just where's his conditioning, and that comes up in the postseason when you're playing back-to-back days, when you're playing a lot of games in a row. How conditioned is he in that time off? How serious did he take staying in shape to make this postseason run with the Huskies? But I do think that Loftus can be that X factor because none of those teams in this league have seen him. He was not in any of those games at University High when he maybe could have made a difference. Maybe could have stolen one of those games, and then these district standings look different. Another guy that could be a mismatch is Tom Skorsch, 6'8" transfer or exchange student out of Germany. 6'8", usually a lot of those guys in single A basketball, and teams have had trouble with him all year. He will throw back a lot of poor decisions. Guy's a really good post defender, got quick hands, does have to worry about the foul situation sometimes. Sometimes those block attempts do turn into a lot of body contact, and Skorsch has to be careful with that. But on the offensive end, again, very capable scorer. If they can get him the ball on the block, there's just no one that can match up with his size in this tournament. When I talked about Loftus possibly being that third scorer for the Huskies, Chase Malone has been the guy that's been trying to fill that void over the second half of the season and done a pretty good job of it as of late. He actually hit a buzzer beater to beat Cloudland at Cloudland. It was the first time North Green's won at Cloudland in I think 25 years, or it may not have been that. It was a long time since North Green had won at Cloudland. I can't remember that number off the top of my head, but Malone hit the shot to do it, and the Huskies were definitely very excited about that. He's a guy that just brings some grittiness, some toughness. He's not the biggest guy. Often he'll be the smallest guy on the court, but he's tough. He's scrappy. He's going to give you 100% every minute he's out there, and you got to like that in the postseason. If you got a guy that's just going to go hard, that can make a difference in these games that are win or go home. And then you got guys like Chance Campbell and Drew Hall who are going to be also in that guard rotation. Those are guys that'll be kind of on both ends of the floor. Both guys are good defenders. Both guys, when they get opportunities on offense, they need to maximize on them. They need Drew Hall. If he gets a corner three, he's got to knock it down. He's a guy that can do that. But at this time of year, he needs to do that when those opportunities are there. And Shane Cooter's another big player off the bench for the for the Huskies. He had some strength, some physicality in the post, and has played some big minutes in a lot of games just because the foul situation gets from the Huskies, and that means that Cooter's out there for a lot of minutes, and he's done well in that. I don't want to act like that's a slight to him or something that is difficult for the Huskies to play around. When he gets in there, he's a very effective player. Maybe not the most skilled offensive player, but he's strong. And on the defensive end, you're gonna get 100% from him every night. The 4 seed in the tournament will be Cloudland. The 5 seed will be Unaka. Those two teams will meet up in the first round against each other. The winner of that game advances to the region. The loser goes home. Cloudland's an interesting team. They took North Green to the wire. As I mentioned, Malone hit that last-second shot, but that was an overtime game with North Green. And despite that, they're 3-7 in the league. They're got 2 wins over Sullivan North. They got 1 win over Unaka. Unaka's in the same situation. They got 2 wins over Sullivan North, 1 win over Cloudland. They're meeting up. Cloudland, interestingly enough, in that game against North Green, had 3 players score. And I don't think that's going to take them very far in the postseason. They can't get more done on offense than that. So you got to be able to spread the ball around a little bit more than that. Now, all 3 of those players were in double figures, but you can't have just 3 players score and think you can advance deep in the postseason. Sullivan North has not won a game in league play all year. They're going to meet up with North Green in the first round of this tournament on Friday, and I would not anticipate that changing. The Raiders season is probably coming to an end on Friday without a win against the league opponents. But that tournament does start on Friday. It is played at Sullivan North. All games will be at Sullivan North. You'll have semifinal games on Saturday, and the championship rounds will be on Monday and Tuesday there for District 1A.
We'd like to thank Tate Russell, assistant sports editor over at the Greenville Sun, for his in-depth look at all things basketball. That was District 1, single A girls and boys. Sounds like North Green's got a good shot at it over on the girls' side. University High playing some good basketball.
Yeah,
on the boys'
definitely.
side.
I think Coach Buchanan, who's been on the show before, I think he's got the girls playing well. He's got a good shot at a district championship. Have to go through Cloudland, 1-2 matchup. I think they've got a great shot at that. The boys' side, I think University High is playing really well. Sophomore Caleb Meredith is playing really well for them. Nice left-hander. And the 2 seed in that side is Hampton. We got to see them a couple nights ago. They played down here at Chucky Doak. They actually beat Chucky Doak by 5. But I think that's going to be a great tournament. I think it's University High's. It'll be, I think that championship game, Hampton and University High, if they both make it, I think that'll be a heck of a game to go see.
Seems like they'd match up really well, give a good championship game. Just overall some good basketball in the area.
Oh, definitely. Well, don't go anywhere. We've got more hoops, and we've got racing coming right at you.
The coach's office is now looking for a title sponsor. Your name would be over the whole entire show, or commercial sponsors. If you or someone you know owns a business and would be interested, please contact us either on Facebook, on Twitter, or through our email, thecoachesofficeshow@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you be a part of the coach's office.
Look back into the special tournament edition of the Coach's Office. We've got Matt Daniels, the sports editor at the Morristown Citizen Tribune, coming up to preview the District 2 Single A, Double A, and Triple A tournaments.
Hello, everybody. This is Matt Daniels. I'm the sports editor at the Citizen Tribune in Morristown, giving you a little look at the district tournaments coming up for Triple A, Double A, and Single A in District 2. We'll start with the District 2 Triple A tournament. The girls' semifinals are set for Friday night. Big matchup for me personally to cover on Friday in the 4 o'clock game will be Morristown West against Morristown East. Morristown West won both of those games during the regular season. The other game, Jefferson County against Sevier County. The tournament's being played at Sevier County, so look for Sevier County to give Jefferson County a challenge in that game. The first game between East and West could go either way. West had Blair Schultz, The best player in my area all season long went down with a knee injury about 3 or 4 weeks ago and is out for the season. So that really threw this tournament into it could be anybody that could win it. And I expect to see, if I had to make a choice, I would say Jefferson County will win this tournament. But if Sevier County was to somehow knock off Jefferson County in that semifinal game, it would not surprise me to see Sevier County win it as well. Boys side, the semifinals look to be Morristown East against either Jefferson County or South Doyle. Jefferson County and South Doyle split during the regular season. That should be a good matchup on Wednesday night, with the winner of that one playing East again at 5:30 on Friday. Sevier County playing against Cott County in the 7:30 game tonight. I would look for Sevier County to win that game at home, and they will play Morristown West in the late game on Friday. As for the semifinals, Morristown West has won twice in a row at Sevier County, but lost to Sevier County during the regular season at home just a couple weeks ago. And the East has swept Sevier County, but just last week only beat Sevier County by 2 or 3 at Sevier County. It would not surprise me at all to see an East-West matchup in the championship with those two teams splitting during the regular season. I think Morristown East is the best team in this district. But looking at it, it wouldn't shock me if either Morristown East, Morristown West, or Sevier County won it. So that's a look at AAA. We go to AA. Granger girls, I think, is the most slept-on team in the entire area, all of East Tennessee. They completely dominated South Green just over a week ago in their regular season matchup after losing to them at South Green back in December. So I think this District 2 for the girls is for AA is completely and totally Granger and South Green. It doesn't matter who else is in that district. Granger and South Green will play in the championship game, and it wouldn't shock me at all if Granger won that thing. In fact, I would say they're probably the favorite to win it, especially with the tournament being played at Claiborne. On the boys' side, Greenville, South Green have been the class of that league all year. But Granger's boys, they're always a wild card with the way they can shoot the three. And then Chucky Doak is another team that I think can make a run in that tournament. But I would say look for Greenville and South Green more than likely to be the teams that match up in the championship game. You go to single A, and it's this one has been mostly Cosby and Greenback for the last couple of years. Cosby's girls are far and away the class of that league, and they should be the champions of this district tournament. They'll play Washburn on Friday at 4 o'clock in the first semifinal game. The other semifinal for the girls is Greenback against Hancock County. With the tournament being at Hancock County, I would not be surprised if Hancock County won. And we have Cosby and Hancock County match up in the championship game for the girls. On the boys' side, Hancock County and Clinch had their game postponed last night and moved to Wednesday, so they will play their first-round game tonight at 7 o'clock. Hancock County should win that game going away. That will put them in a matchup with Jellicoe in the semifinals at 8:30 on Friday night. And the other semifinal, Greenback knocked off Berean Christian and put themselves into a matchup with number 1 Cosby. But looking at this bracket with the tournament being at Hancock County, I look for Cosby and Hancock County to be the two teams on both sides, with possibility of Greenback girls making it into the championship game. But I think Cosby reigns supreme in both of these. And, in fact, I'll go on record in saying I think Granger's girls, I think South Green's girls, and I think Cosby's girls all go to state tournament this year. The competition on this side of the state from Johnson City down and then even into Knoxville is not as strong. So those three teams I think will all wind up in Murfreesboro. And then I think there's a real good possibility that Morristown East or Morristown West winds up playing in the sub-state, playing at home, even though they would have to beat Dobbins-Bennett at Daniel Boone in the region championship game. That's doable. And you know, Dobbins-Bennett's beat both of those teams. They're 3-0 against them this year, but all games have been by single digits. East and West have teams that play really good defense and can put up a lot of points. So I look for the possibility of one of those teams to be playing in the sub-state either at home or on the road, and they will play against Bearden or Maryville or Oak Ridge. And that'll be a tall task, but it's been a long time coming for schools out of Morristown and on the boys' side to be this good, and both of them have a chance to possibly play for a state tournament berth.
So the Morristown Citizen Tribune for his insight there in District 1, AAA, AA, and Single A. His first ever appearance on the coach's office, and he's making bold predictions.
Bold predictions. Matty D coming in with a bold prediction.
Going down on record there.
Now I'm not as bold as Mr. Daniels, but I think Cosby, both boys and girls, will have a great run in the tournament. The boys always play really well. Coach Lowe for the girls has got the girls playing really well. On the boys' side, on AAA side, Morristown East.
That East-West championship sounds
that would be a city championship. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Morristown East is playing really well. They have for the past couple of years. And Morristown West, new coach who coached with Morristown East a couple of years ago. Now going against the old.
What a turn of events.
The old squad. I think it'll be good. Sevier County, don't ever count them out. They always play really well. So it'll be fun. Fun little tournament time.
A lot of good basketball in the region, and we'd like to thank everybody that contributed. Matt Daniels of the Morristown Citizen Tribune, Tate Russell, the assistant sports editor over at the Greenville Sun, and
Nathan Greatti, voice of the Science Hill Hilltoppers.
So we'd like to thank all those guys for stepping into the coach's office for the first time, but hopefully definitely not the last time.
Thanks, fellas.
Switch gears to our first recurring role.
See what you did there. Switch gears. I like that.
We've heard to our first recurring person to come back to the coach's office more than once, and that's Cody Early, as he takes us around the track and his preview of the Daytona 500.
Speed Weeks 2019 from Daytona is officially underway. For the coach's office, my name's Cody Early. This is Around the Track. Jimmy Johnson captured the first checkered flag of Speed Weeks 2019 by winning Sunday's rain-shortened Advance Auto Parts Clash. It would be the first time in over a year Jimmy Johnson went to victory lane. The victory, though, was not without controversy, as it was with contact with race leader Paul Menard that sent the race into a red flag that would eventually come to an end because of Mother Nature. Johnson would capture the win, and there would be a lot of torn-up race cars in the garage at the end of the non-points race this past Sunday. But things get real coming up this Thursday, as it's the Gander Duels at Daytona. The Duels will set the field from 3rd all the way back to 40th place because the front row is locked in. That front row will be all Hendrick Motorsports on Sunday during the Daytona 500, as William Byron captured his first pole with new crew chief Chad Knaus. To the outside of him will be last year's pole setter Alex Bowman in the number 88 Nationwide Chevrolet. The field will set itself Thursday night with the Gander Duels at Daytona. These two races will set up the field for what will be the starting lineup on Sunday for the big Daytona 500. Official points racing gets underway Friday night with the always exciting Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Under the lights Friday night starting at 7 with the NextAir Energy 250. Saturday afternoon, the NASCAR Xfinity Series season begins with the NASCAR Racing Experience 300. And then on Sunday, Houston Texans defensive end J.J. Watt will give the command to start the engines on the 2019 season, as it's the 61st annual Daytona 500. Austin Dillon captured the checkered flag in an exciting last lap pass a year ago. Will it be a veteran? Will it be a newcomer? Or could it be a repeat winner of the Great American Race? We'll find out Sunday. The Motor Racing Network has your coverage all weekend long, along with East Tennessee's racing station, 92.3 WNPC. For the latest updates and in NASCAR news, make sure you check out the 92.3 WNPC Facebook page. You can also check out the Cody on WNPC Facebook page as well. For the coach's office, my name's Cody Early, and we hope to see you around the track. Now back to Matt and Kyle.
I'd like to thank all of our guests for stepping in to the coach's office with us. We'd also like to thank Cody Early for his Around the Track.
We've enjoyed this episode, and we hope that you get all the information you need as you go out to all the different schools. Be sure you travel safely and watching some East Tennessee basketball. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, coaching_office, on the Facebook, the Coach's Office show and on the Instagram as well. If you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop those 5 stars. We appreciate all the feedback, especially the good kind.
Yeah, thank you. Definitely thank you to our guests. For Matt Ripley, myself, Kyle Donahue, we'd like to thank you for listening. If you're last one out, turn off the light and lock up the gate.
This has been a presentation of the Coach's Office, produced by Quotable Productions.